Wendeyaho, 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 Wendeya, Wendeya, oh, 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 hey yahoo, hey yahoo, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's the Cherokee morning song they're saying, and that's kind of my version. I'm not Cherokee. I'm just sharing that, and that's a different, sung in a different key, kind of, but saying "I'm one with the Great Spirit" over and over and over is all it's saying.
Wow. Quick note as I edit and listen to this interview again, Brother Littlefoot describes many consistencies to my own experiences about the essence of the Sasquatch. And we're recording. So, hello, this is Martin, and I'm with Brother Littlefoot. And I'm going to start with a quick video to introduce him, and it's going to lead right into some questions, and we'll go from there. So, here we go. I met Brother Littlefoot not long ago in the comments under one of my videos. YouTube has become a sanctuary of sorts, a place for meeting like-minded people who are also into this fascinating subject. He introduced himself and I could tell that we share a similar interest in the Sasquatch people. And I love learning about this and hearing from others with experiences. Brother Littlefoot has written a book titled, "He's Not Hairy, He's Our Brother." I found this title interesting, and this isn't the first time that I have heard of the Sasquatch referred to as our siblings. On his YouTube channel, he has a number of videos with some recordings, some experiences shared, and he also reads a couple chapters from his book with Sasquatch around him. I too have had experiences when I was where they were around me, and I love this idea of reading with them around. I did also hear some interesting sounds in those videos. That being said, I do not know much else about Brother Littlefoot and his experiences, and I look forward to asking some questions and learning about them. Next, I have a couple questions to ask, and then we will just go wherever this conversation takes us. So that's it, and
Can I thank you for that great introduction?
absolutely. From your experiences with them, you might have answered this. Do you feel they have anything that they would like us to know about them?
Yeah, actually, their families, I was told these were the words that I heard in my head. I think there's an interpreter used between us somehow. I don't know how that works exactly, but they told me that one of the elders told me that their lives revolve around family and the safety and the well-being and joy of family. Their communities revolve around family,
Wow.
like the earth revolves around the sun.
Wow.
And I think that's the most powerful. I'm glad you asked me
Goosebumps.
that. Yeah, I'm glad you
Goosebumps.
asked me that. I think that's the most powerful statement I can make about their people is that family is the most important thing to them.
Wow.
And that's why, and they told me that's why their society has remained so strong for so long, for so millions of years, many millions of years, because they all look after one another. They all give care to one another. And when you go talk to them and you say the words take care, they might understand that as taking away. So make sure you explain how different human words have opposite meanings sometimes. And when we say take
Wow.
care, we mean give care. Um,
That actually really well defines a book I read where a woman named White Song Eagle was told by a star person that she was going to be given a Sasquatch family to take care of. And she basically had to, there were so many snafus like that,
mhm.
and the Sasquatch interpreted it as a flat out lie, which was not good in the portrayal. It's quite an interesting book, but just you saying that take care thing is so consistent with what that woman, she's not here anymore.
Mhm.
She passed on a few years ago, but
Yeah.
what a story.
Well, she probably wasn't meant to take care of them. She was probably meant to teach them about humans, to be the human that they learned from.
That makes
That's probably what
sense.
it's meant. Yeah, that's probably what's meant to happen. They don't need us to take care of them. This whole earth could do without us.
Now, I don't know how this works, but the two adults, they had a child coming, were full grown, and he was talking to her in reference of, I've heard this about you people. Does that mean they're from somewhere else? I don't know.
What do you
But,
mean? I've heard this
like,
about you people. Who?
about hairless humans like us.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I've heard that you lie. They were right. What they said about you people is true. Um, so where was he in the last 20 years? I don't know. Maybe just isolated in Canada. I don't know.
That's possible, or it's like I said, it may be that the veils are thinning between worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, scientists are definitely talking more and more about dimensions on top of dimensions and worlds on top of worlds.
Well,
And
they
what?
already
Yeah, didn't they
studied.
blow up? Did they blow up in a portal? But I don't know if they did yet. But they trying to what are they trying to blast two atoms together or something like that
Yeah.
in the Hadron Collider? I believe at CERN.
Yeah.
Um,
They studied. They looked into other dimensions decades ago. It's on the CIA website. I'm sure
yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
remote viewing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Also, if you do run into a portal, don't walk into it as a human. Our bodies are not made for that. And the
Hmm.
humans that do go through it, they survive okay, but they usually end up developing cancer within a year or two after that. So I would even
Wow.
I tell the Sabe people that I said, I just want you to know, not that you would ever try to take me through a portal, but I can't live through that. Not in this body, not this way.
That's what they told her in that book.
But
Hmm.
that we weren't able to handle that energy.
Yeah, they didn't give the specifics you did, but it was also the same thing about him being in physical form and hugging her.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. They carry radiation, I'm guessing, because they move through
Something.
radioactive areas, and those portals are probably radioactive, more than likely, and that's what's giving people cancer. So I'm
Something.
I'm I'm going to guess that it has something to do with radioactivity.
Very interesting. I do know that
And there's a lot of plasma energy involved. Sorry, I wanted to say this: the fourth state of matter, when they disappear, I think they go into the fourth state of matter, which is plasma. And the reason
wow.
being is because we see orbs, and those orbs are different colors, and those different colors of orbs would represent possibly different colored gases
Mm,
on the elemental chart.
wow.
They would correlate. Most would correlate to neon,
Hmm.
but I think I haven't studied that enough. But maybe somebody else who's into science, they would know right off the top of their heads what I'm talking about. And if they were to go out and see those orbs, and they could correlate those particular orbs to certain gases on the elemental charts, and that might help us to understand more about their people. But
Well,
I
you just.
personally believe they go into a plasma form. I believe
Mm,
that star people use plasma to power their ships, and I believe that ghosts also, spirits also go into a plasma state.
wow.
We go into a plasma state when we leave the body, more or less, or maybe there is a plasma state within us. You know,
Yeah, I
um,
was just thinking how on one of the YouTube channels in a video, somebody mentioned that maybe it's called a Geiger counter or something. They
yeah,
were measuring footprints and they measured radiation in them.
I was going to say in the plasma, when they go into these plasma states and go through it, they may carry more
Hmm.
radiation with them. I don't really know scientifically how that connects. I'm not a scientist and not trying to
Me
be.
either.
But I'm guessing there is some kind of connection. There's definitely a connection between radioactivity and cancer. So,
Yes.
and there's definitely a connection between radioactivity and space.
That's why I followed exactly along with what you were saying because with the very little I know, it kind of made some sense.
Yeah, yeah. We're all just trying to connect dots here, man. This,
Yep.
this will never be a perfect science. I think maybe they're here to teach us how little we know, and maybe that's why so many people would rather deny them.
I've also heard that there are some people that can handle that energy. So,
Maybe I've heard of people that have been able to teleport themselves and had nothing to do with Sasquatch or something.
yeah, me too.
I don't know how true that is, or
Me
I
too.
heard it from a truthful person. Um, but again, we're just expressing things we're hearing about. We don't really
Yep.
know.
I haven't done it.
But if they can do it, I would say there's high probability that we can too if we knew how.
Yeah.
But I would say that we would have to enter a different kind of state where we'd have to be able to enter a plasma state
Yeah.
ourselves. And don't even ask me. I can't even begin. I,
Yeah.
I would end up like Cartman on that episode of South Park where he thinks he's invisible, and then he ends up. Don't let me make you spew out your coffee. And then he ends up walking across the stage naked in front of a bunch of people, not knowing that they can see him. Um, that's how I picture that working out for me,
Yeah.
pretty much. and I'll probably still be wearing a toboggan just like he was. But anyways, but yeah, so I'll just avoid that for now. But when the great changes come on the earth, that may be something that we need. Uh,
Yes.
it may be something that the sun brings. We
Hmm.
don't know. Maybe we'll burn up. Maybe we'll change. And maybe it has to do with who we are. I always remember the book, The Celestine Prophecy.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting book. It was kind of silly, but it was kind of interesting. And
I read it.
I kind of wonder if the rapture is not really Jesus. It's the star people,
Hmm.
and it's this evolving to a higher state where we just disappear.
It's
And we're
interesting.
able to handle. We don't live through the trials and tribulations that a lot of other people may face. I am not living my life that way. I am living ready to face floods, to face earthquakes, to face whatever I have to face. Too much sun. If I die, I die. I'm prepared to live. I'm prepared to die. I'm prepared for whatever
Hmm.
in 20 to 30 years for that. And until then, I live every day. I'm going to live forever. And I tell
Yeah.
people, even if there are great changes coming on the earth, live like you're going to live forever. I'd say I'd love to be wrong, but at the same time, we're kind of at a point where we need change. And
Yeah.
it's going to have to be forced on us because all the bad humans in control, all the evil in control, all the greed in control, who has all the power, all the weapons. You know,
Yep. So I guess should I keep going? I think I have just a couple more. It looks like I'm close to the end.
yeah, go ahead.
If you're still good,
Yeah, we'll finish up real quick, man.
we covered a lot. So, do you have anything you would like to say about them? You feel people should know that you might have covered, but
I think I pretty much covered that. But the one thing that's coming to mind is just to remind people that it's kind of like an indigenous group of native people. Indigenous means native. Sorry, an indigenous tribe of people that never accepted technology, and they've chosen to live out in the forest. They really strong. It makes me feel like I'm a white settler here, and I'm here right after the Cherokee are run off on the Trail of Tears, and some of them remain behind. That's why you have the Eastern band and the Western band, the Cherokee.
mm,
And so it feels like I've become friends with them. That I'm not the kind of person that I didn't realize what was happening, and it feels like I've become friends with them, and I want to remain friends with them and keep them safe as much as
mm,
possible.
like
If
family.
that were the truth, I wouldn't be on obviously they didn't have computers back then, but I wouldn't be on the computer even telling this story. The reality, thank God they can disappear on their own and they can hide, and I don't have to protect them all the time. For the longest time, I literally felt like I was babysitting their child. I was worried he was going to fall out in the road or something.
Maybe you were.
Well, no, it never was like that. You know, it was just my fear. They can take care of themselves, but yeah, they're like a tribe of humans that just prefer to live outdoors, shun technology, and they have a different genetic makeup too, as well, because of it.
Mm,
And don't fear them. If you do see one, try your best not to react to them.
mm,
Put your head down.
mm,
Look away. Put your eyes down. That's a sign of submission, and they would appreciate that. It's what you do around gorillas.
mm.
So even though they're highly intelligent, advanced beings, they live in bodies that are highly reactive, highly animalistic, and they have to deal with that themselves.
That makes sense.
And every time they talk to or make friends with the humans, they are fighting their natural instinct to just trust humans.
Mm,
So always remember that. So when you feel like you're scared of them, they feel the same way too. You know.
hell yeah.
So
All
make
right.
peace, not fight or flight. Peace, peace. Go to the middle.
That is good advice. All right, let me see what the next one. I don't think there's more than one or two left. Oh, that's the end of my questions.
Well,
Let me just run
that's
this
the
to the
hardest
end.
question of all to answer, man.
Yeah, so that's the end of those. But of course, I know you're tired, I'm sure. But
I'm hungry as all more than anything. As soon as I eat, I'll be outside talking to them.
yeah,
I was going to go out tonight, but it kind of is rainy today, and I have a feeling they're just going to be tired anyway. Um, but if they got children, they'd be up and talking to me. Uh,
what a gift.
it is, man. It is, and when you experience it on a regular basis, man, it's just awesome. Always thank them for it. Always say thank you for what your children provide.
I experienced them around quite a bit. I don't think I nearly I just didn't have the any of the thinking that you had with reaching out to such in depth that it's amazing. And
Ask them if they believe in life after death and see how they react. That's been
hmm,
interesting for me. I've had some loud knocks and things thrown after I said that. But go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, oh, I mean, you just twirled up a different. I don't. I just wonder if we have a sort of black and white answer to that, and I don't. I wonder if they do too or not.
Yeah,
But I guess I feel like. I mean, I could just go down a really deep rabbit hole with that one, but
they do. I'll just say they do. I've got it recorded of them responding that they do.
really.
Some families not responding to me when I asked that question, but
Mm,
I felt like it was just because they didn't understand what I was asking.
okay.
So yeah, and remember that they may not understand exactly what you're saying. You may sound confusing to them at times. It's not for
Yeah.
everybody, and always say it's me. If you don't understand me, it's me. It's not you. So please forgive
Mm,
me. Keep that humility.
there we go. My questions are gone.
Yeah, but yeah, just always remain humble and kind and peaceful and loving, and you'll get that back, even if you got to push through with it just a little to get to the other side of their fear, you know, and so they can trust you. Because the
You
whole
know,
thing is,
there's definitely uh, there's definitely like a respect that they have. I feel from hearing from different people and putting my pieces together. Like when you didn't run away that night, I don't know what that is, but I feel like
yeah, I know they looked at me and said, "This guy's got a little more balls than other people."
yeah, he's got
Not much
harder.
more, not much more, just a little, just
Yeah,
enough.
or even maybe in my case, just like he's that. I don't know, like you know what I'm like. He's that interested where he
Yeah,
decided to sit through that. He's that interested in us.
yeah,
Something.
yeah, yeah. He wants to get past his fear to know what's going on. He
Yeah,
wants to
just
get to know us.
yeah, yeah, and it could that kind of just you sitting through that shows how you felt, even if you weren't even quite sure yet. But
Yeah, and it,
you
and it
were
makes other humans that come after you almost to laugh unless they have a gun.
so yeah. I I'm not the type of person that's been in lots of fights or anything. I mean, I
Oh no, I'm not.
do.
I don't. I grew up fighting, but I had two guys attack me when I was going to. I was going out to talk to Sabe people one night, and I'd stop to get gas,
Wow.
and one of them was walking around the around the gas station. And I saw him, and I knew something was not right with him. And he waved to me, put his arm way out there, and I knew right then and there this guy's signaling to somebody else. And these two other, I live in a small town. This just happened. This went on for a little small short period of time, and then it got nipped in the bud quick because there's too many tough guys even in a small town, or they carry guns. So these two junkies, I guess they were junkies. I don't know. They were grown men. They obviously didn't have a gun. Pulled up to me on the other side of the gas pump. I'm getting gas. I can't move. And they say, "Hey man, you got some money for us?" And I reached in and I grabbed a knife that a friend made, especially for me, that actually had runes scratched on it that were specially made for me. And because he's Anglo-Saxon descent, and I held that knife up, and it's a railroad spike knife, so it doesn't break. And I already knew to be ready because of the one man that had waved towards me, and I grabbed that knife off my desk. I said, "Y'all better get the f away from me right up and now." I didn't even get a chance to say I might kill you before they drove off. But what I learned from that too is that, and I didn't think twice about it after it happened. I did. A woman pulled in after me, and I told her because they had already pulled off, and I said, "Be careful." She went in and told the man in the store, and then I called the cops and told them. The next morning, I called them, and they said, "Oh, we watched the video last night. Like that was hilarious." And I said, "You could tell I wasn't threatened." He said, "No, they came up to you. You weren't doing anything wrong. You did the right thing. You stood your ground.
Mm.
You're lucky." He said, "You're lucky they didn't have a gun. But most junkies don't carry guns, thank God." The two grown men, I was ready to fight them either way. I don't. I would have fought them. I'm not afraid of them. But that's another thing is that working with a Sasquatch after a while, you kind of got to remember to hold back sometimes and not get yourself in situations, not with them, but with people because you're braver all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm
I'm not
not.
you can't put a man in front of me that I'm legitly scared of. It doesn't mean they can't kill me or beat me to death. It just means I'm not afraid of them.
After you've sat with them around you, I feel like something changed.
Yeah.
Not that I think I'm gonna win a fight against this guy in
No,
the
no.
supermarket, but
You're just more
th-
willing to stand your own ground.
well, there's less fear. Like
Yeah, yeah.
there's sort of an egotistical part of me that looks at a man and says,
I know.
do you realize what I was just standing with last
Yeah,
night?"
yeah.
Or
I know.
it's, I mean, it's complete ego, and
That goes away though. That goes away
but
with time. It ain't
but
hard.
just you get a dirty look, and it's like you kind of giggle. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
yeah, just it's like a little game in your head. It doesn't mean anything, but
Yeah,
definitely a little less fear of man.
yeah, yeah. And then of course, remember we're in our 40s too, and if we need to, we can pick up a brick or do whatever. We don't need excuses, and we don't have anything to prove if we want.
Yeah,
I don't mind kicking a man in the balls with a pair of steel-toed boots if I have to.
yeah, you have
It
to.
doesn't anything to survive or to protect someone's love. So
Gotta.
you got to have that mindset of survival, and the Sabe can teach us that. They have to have that mindset constantly as well. Mindset of survival, but also peace.
They don't get to go home inside of a locked house and relax.
Yeah, but they also have ways of protecting themselves that
Yeah,
we don't too.
yeah.
The disappearing act, and
Hmm.
the only predator that most of them have to deal with is humans. And not calling us predators like we eat them necessarily. There are humans that would if they could, but
Hmm.
anyway, but that we take from them. We take from them.
Yep.
We take from their homes,
The
or we
vapors.
set a forest fire by accident. Even and that burns up their home.
Yeah.
So those are
Mm.
the things they have to remain. Or in
Ah,
the weather conditions
I
also.
see that in Florida, like when it says the burns that they do on purpose, and I'm like, oh my god.
No, those are good because those
Yeah.
burn the underbrush. I know it's
Yep.
scary, but those just don't. As long as they don't, they usually don't do them on windy
They do
days.
it everywhere.
Yeah, they have to. They burns the underbrush and it keeps from big forest fires lighting up.
Yeah.
I've explained
They
that to the Sabe people.
they probably know. And you reminded me of something that when we were talking about them understanding stuff, and I've heard notions like one of them is like this group consciousness where like when one kind of like the 100 monkey effect, when one finds something out, they all know it.
Yeah, yeah,
Also,
I believe that that's a telepathy thing.
and then also the notion I've heard of them having meetings where the leaders all come together.
Hmm.
And so I feel that possibly a lot of them as a group grow in knowledge, even if they weren't directly subjected, just from
They share
whatever
knowledge,
shared.
definitely. I think it goes all different ways. And to say they only speak telepathically, or to say we still use words, they still use sounds, and they still use
Oh,
they have a spoken language. And I don't understand why they do that. If they can speak telepathically, why do they talk at all? So there's still questions out there I have too. Uh,
yeah,
but maybe it's they like expression. Maybe
yeah,
they enjoy and appreciate expression. If you get into the
yes.
chakras, you have to express some to feel joy.
And senses themselves can be, I would imagine, if you had the ability to go into another whatever, it might be pleasurable to be in flesh and feel things and
Yeah,
smell and
exactly.
taste and
That maybe exactly. Maybe they're more aware of where they came from before they were in the flesh somehow. Maybe they
unlike
talk
us.
about past lives with them. And I tell them, and again, this is one thing I want to tell too. When you share a belief or an understanding with them, don't go out there and not you, but don't go out there and preach to them. Don't tell them this is the way it is. Say this is my understanding or this is what I believe. And I even
Hmm.
tell them about different religions. I'll tell them about Jesus. I'll say I don't know if he was real or not, but here's a story. You might appreciate this.
Hmm.
And I'll tell them about Buddha, or something like that. I'll tell them about different religions, but I don't push a religion on them. You know.
You might be able to relate to this. I sometimes when I might have had a thought of them killing me, um, I might begin to apologize, try to explain it, and then I might catch myself and say, "But you know what? You guys probably know more about me than I do, for all I know." And like I don't know if you can relate to going around in those mental circles just
Maybe that
communicating and
maybe that's why they fear humans as much as they do, because they can actually read our minds, read what we're thinking.
they know
And they,
all of our
and
secrets.
I've tried to express to them that, I have thoughts that are just thoughts. They're arbitrary. They're not,
Yes.
they're temporary. They're fleeting. They don't matter. They don't mean anything. I have fantasies that don't mean anything. They're not going to turn into anything.
Yes,
You
I've
know?
thought, and because I've I've pondered the possibility of what I understand of like a realized ascended master and how they, it's a different intellect. Maybe you could almost say it doesn't exist.
Hmm.
And just considering the possibility that they could have that functioning where it's sort of the ideal that we shoot for if you wanted to reach enlightenment, like you have no brain anymore, or mind, and kind of,
Yeah, yeah.
and just thinking from that sort of deep perspective, like if they were just in a way in their intellect that we can't even imagine, like just
No.
different.
Oh, yeah, no. And I just go ahead and assume that.
I kind of did too.
And I think we should assume that about every animal and everything too. That not that it has a more advanced intellect, but that it has a different intellect,
Different.
and that it may be more closer to equal to us than we realize, whether above or below.
Mm,
But like Hermes said, as above, so below.
mm.
You know. So I think they're reflections of us, and we're reflections of them.
I like
They
that.
say, what are the Sabe people? Where do they come from? What are they? They're reflections of us, and we're reflections of them.
I love that.
What are they're our big brothers and our big sisters? But I need to know more. Well, they're our big brothers and our big sisters. And
Yeah.
well, no, I need to know what they are. No, they're our reflection.
Mm,
They're our wild reflection. They're a reflection of what we lost
mm.
when we were tamed.
Wow.
You know, they're what
Wow.
we crave, because you can't. We don't have freedom.
I
And
just
I'm not just
heard
talking about with government. I'm talking about everything. Somebody's always addicted to something.
there's a YouTube channel and they channel one. And his name is Anku, and he says what you're angry at isn't what you think. What you're really angry at is being you're you're capable of more than you realize, and your
Frustrated.
disconnection,
You're
you
frustrated.
and that disconnection that was instilled in you to like the earth and the divine, like you're the bridge between them. I think he put it like that,
Yeah. So you have to stretch out and
and
be the bridge.
between the earth and the divine, he said
Just
something
like
like that.
just like a plant, a tree would stretch out towards the sun.
And it's profound.
I get exactly what he's saying. I understand. And that, you know what? That whoever's channeling that may really be channeling something, because that's the way they talk to me. Just like I said to you, and they said that they told me their lives revolve around family, like the earth revolves around the sun. That sounds very similar, like what they speak in
Yeah.
those terms. When I was really depressed one night, where the first family is, and I was talking to Harambe, and I was, telling him, and you can go and use them as a therapist. I don't use them. I don't like that word, but you can go talk your problems with them, and they'll understand as much as they do and give you as much knowledge as they do.
Is
Anyway,
Harambe a Sasquatch?
yeah, he's one of the. We named him after a gorilla that was killed
Okay.
in a zoo, because a human child, had fallen down into the enclosure, and the gorilla just postured the child up, and then he dragged him a little bit like he would do his own children. And then the humans decided to go ahead and shoot the gorilla and kill him, when preventative measures that could have been taken
Mm,
could stop that from happening, because no human
mm,
child should have fallen into a zoo enclosure in any way, shape, or
okay.
form. This child just climbed up over the wall and fell in. So we named him Harambe, and he understands. I tell him, you have your own names. We just give you these names so it helps us, to communicate with you, remember who you are, and I give you names that are honorable names. The Sasquatch behind my home, I call him Bobo, after Bobo the researcher that was on Finding Bigfoot, because even though that show wasn't the best show, the three people on that show, Cliff Barackman, Renee, and Bobo, are actually not bad people. The other guy, I'm not going to say anything bad or good about. I'll just say that. So name them after people or animals or anything we love.
Mm,
But Harambe told me one night, I was telling him how I felt depressed and down. He said, remember why you come here, to be with the trees and the rocks and the stars and the water and the earth. And I I can't tell you how profound that is and how many times that's hit me since. Because that's what he
Wow.
was saying. He was literally reminding me, dude, this is what heals you. Remember why you come here.
That's like exactly what was coming through that woman, and he was saying, how many times have you felt separate from the trees, the animals, the rocks, like because you're not separate, or
You know
I
what?
forget how he put it, but it was interesting.
I may have channeled. I may have channeled some Sabe people before. I did a channeling one time. I used to go to channelings. As much as people want to believe that people are into these things are just crazy, and there are some people that are, and
Hmm.
there are some channelings that are total BS. They're not channelings at all. They're people just channeling some other part of themselves or their
Yeah.
consciousness. Um, and I've been to those and realized they were bull, you know. But I've been to some really good channelings too, where they channel another being, and these beings would tell us things that we did during the day, word for word, and we wouldn't say anything to the person that was channeling, the being. So how would they know?
Wow.
Um, and they were masters at doing this, and I never spent a lot of money on that. I paid $10 for each meeting. That was nothing for 3 or 4 hours of sitting in the group.
Wow.
Um, so and $10 a person that makes them a little money, but doesn't take too much from everybody. But there was one night I tried to channel on my own. I was in a different group of people in a different home. I started letting something into my body, but I was still very conscious, and my head started doing this. I closed my eyes, and my head started doing this. And it started saying, if you want to talk to us, come to the trees, the rocks, the water, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
One psychic lady that I later found out was a bogus channel, she told me that I was channeling gnomes. Looking back, and I just figured it out tonight, I think I was channeling Sabepi
Wow.
because it was way before my first encounter.
I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah, and the thing that makes this more realistic is that one of the guys that was there is a complete skeptic, and he told me that after I got through channeling, he said I would not believe in anything that just happened except for the fact that our dog started dreaming as soon as you started channeling and stopped as soon as you stopped and did not stop dreaming until you stopped channeling. You know how a
You.
dog shakes when they're dreaming,
Oh.
when they're
Whoa.
sleeping, and he said the
Whoa.
dog kept. It was almost like the dog was having a little seizure, off and on
Wow.
seizure, until I
Hmm.
stopped channeling
Really.
that the dog was reacting to that energy. And then the dog woke up.
I'll tell you, I've witnessed a number of people do channeling
Yeah.
Sasquatch, and there's some remarkable consistencies that I've noticed to the point where I don't know, like it seems very possible, and I could see it with you. I mean, I don't know, but it makes sense. I've seen enough where I'm pretty convinced that it's happening to some
Well, I mean, I'm
people.
I'm channeling energy now, but I'm doing it very consciously. There's not something necessarily operating my body.
Right.
You I'm fully in the body. Um, and I've definitely been to channelings where people take on a whole different personality. And
Yep.
it's completely different from who they are. And it's something you can tell. It's not something they practice. It's another.
Yeah, I saw there was in a separate way two people that were decades apart, and they had a similar message come through,
Mhm.
and the similarities with, like, one of them was a video of basically a channeler getting completely destroyed and mocked by newsmen,
Mhm.
and it's amazing because if you look at the comments, it's like I watched it and I was like, what are people saying about this? And everyone is like, like if they only knew what they were really talking to.
Yeah.
And then this other one, I had trouble with it at times, but
Real quick, I just want to interrupt you. Say I don't see how anyone in news media could put
well,
down anyone else in society. But go ahead. Today's news media.
it was the same there, believe me. And
Yeah.
but I was really kind of awestruck at the similarity of the way they went into a trance. They had an accent, and
Yeah, that's the one guy I knew that did it really well.
but what I heard from the one from like decades ago was when I listened to what came through, I was like, wow, like just the
Yeah.
message was so,
The message will hit you for years to come if it's real. It's real. And the ones that are fake, their messages won't mean shit over time. You
yeah.
know what? So yeah, that's one way I learned. But
That's cool. That's really cool if that happened to you.
yeah, well, and a lot of times when I think a lot of us are channeling and we don't know it. We're always channeling a spirit guide or something, but we could be channeling our own higher selves too. Because our higher selves are what's in touch with all that. And I have a Sabe man in the spirit world that's deceased that came to me. I had a vision, and I saw several white Sabe fields, white Sabe, white and golden Sabe, colored Sabe, meaning they were all elders. They were all tall. None of them were children, and they were all standing on the edge of a field. It was an open field, but it was like they were coming out of the forest. And so everything's symbolic in the spirit world. So you have to take everything into consideration. And they were talking amongst themselves, and they were saying, one of us is going to come forward and speak. And I didn't know if it meant, and I even told the Sasquatch guy behind my home, uh, Bobo, I said, I don't know if it meant that one of your people is going to step out and speak for your people to humans in this world, or what I figured out later is that one of them were deciding which one's going to speak through me. And there may be that every person, like myself, like Mike, like you, like Chuck and the Arizona Four, that are going out there, that they now have a Sabe spirit guide, that one of their spirit guides would be Sabe. It just only makes sense to help guide us on the path, and to help us speak the words we need to speak when we come in contact with other humans.
It
Talk
actually
about
makes sense.
experiences. So, and I think they're also trying to understand humans as much as possible, so in order to connect with us better. And so, if they
Hmm.
can feel the things we're feeling and know what we're going through, um, then they have a level of empathy, a great level of empathy. I think we talked about this. I think they realize our capacity for empathy. And then if we connect with them, connect with the earth, it doesn't have to always be with Sabe people, although eventually you're going to connect with them, connect with something good. Go
Mm.
out and connect with the earth. Go out and connect with the earth and focus on that. I would tell people, if you really want to meet Sabe people, just go connect, go do your best to connect with the earth. Go out in
Mm.
the forest and sit and sing a song. Um, think about how much you love the trees. Think about how much you love being out there.
Mm.
Enjoy the peace of being out there. Do it that way, and that's a start right there, because you're connecting with the way they feel about the forest. So there's a vibration there, and then there's going to be a resonance, like a tuning fork. I think this is basic quantum mechanics, but I mean, to me, even talking about it is like, even if it's not real, it sounds like it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But you're resonating on the same level. Get to resonating on the same level they are. That's how you communicate with them. That's key. That's it. I just got it. Sorry.
I feel like you're. I've heard a few people who they've come up with something like on a similar wavelength, and I feel like people have different variations, but it's the same theme.
Yeah.
Uh, like I've heard some people say, get if you get out there and just get in a high vibration, laughing, and another person told me directly that the way they connect best is through singing and dancing, and I feel like those words were maybe for me.
Yeah. Storytelling too. They like story. You can go out and tell them stories. Just tell them about your life. They love
Wow,
stuff. They'll sit and listen because they'll sit and picture it all in their minds, just like you would.
wow,
You know. But it's more interesting to them because they don't. All these things are more interesting. All the little things are more interesting to them because they don't have a cell phone that they got to keep checking. They don't have an email that they got to keep checking. They don't have a business they got to run. These are
yes,
all the things we've lost. We've lost ourselves. They are us.
mm-hmm,
They are the part of
wow,
us that we lost, that we lost when we went to industrialization.
I love that.
And I'm not calling industrialization itself evil. All things can be done. Farming definitely can be done. Architecture, all these things can be done in a way that doesn't harm the earth so greatly, and in a way that we just keep giving back. You
Yeah,
know, it can be done. We're just not doing it.
you
Not all of us, and not all the time.
if you haven't heard this, you might like this message. Another channel was asking questions and asked basically, what do you recommend we do? And they basically said, get in your heart. And then, so she starts refining questions to world specific problems. And I'm totally paraphrasing, but the essence I picked up was she started saying, well, what about climate change? What should we do? And they were like, get in your heart. And she's like, well, wouldn't you say there's chemtrails? And they're like, get, what should we do about that?
Your heart.
Get in your heart. And then she's
Yeah.
like,
One answer for everything.
so she kind of went around and said, well, um, you know, what about technology? And the answer kind of came back, if you come from a place of the heart, you will create earth-sustaining technology.
That's interesting.
That
Or
was,
maybe we could evolve to their state where we don't need any technology at all.
yeah. Well,
Now,
they in that
uh,
message, because it was almost, some people want to say, is it wrong that we have technology and stuff? And it doesn't seem that the messages that come through say yes, it's wrong.
it's gotten out of control. That's
The
all.
approach and the intention and
The greed, money is the big driver behind it all. Not money itself, the love of money. Sorry, money itself is not evil. Love of money is. Something else just came to me, and I think this is very important. I do think this comes from them, and people can take it for what it is. The Earth is a biological machine, and they know how to work it. We don't have a
wow,
clue.
wow.
Scientists in our, that work for the government and so on, they're starting to scratch the surface now. But the Earth is a biological machine. The whole universe is a biological machine. It's a bunch of different machines. It works like clockwork. Think about
Mm,
all these different solar systems spinning around in the universe. It'd be like a clock,
mm,
the inside of a clock, an old clock, one that's not powered by electricity, a wind up.
mm,
So everything works that way in the universe. They understand that, and so they know how they know how to work that and open up portals to other places.
mm.
They know how to disappear right away. I think they're just using the Earth's energy. The more I think about it, it may be their own thing, and this will say it, humans maybe had this and we forgot how to use it. But I think they're using the biological machine that is the Earth.
Wow.
And
I once heard, I could be wrong here again, but I feel like someone asked them something like, how do you do that stuff? And I feel like the answer that came back is love is the secret technology. Like your abilities.
yeah, well,
Um,
love the Earth and get in touch with it, and maybe all of a sudden, the more you get in touch with, you vibrate on the same resonance.
I,
That's the Earth. And listen, it's not about going out there and making yourself happy when you're sad. It's about being authentic. It's about being who you truly are. So whatever you feel, go out and do that. Because if you're sad, if you're angry, the forest, the Earth eats that energy up. It's just like trees that take in CO2. They take in that poison, they turn it into, they eat it for food, and they grow off of it. And then they turn it into oxygen.
mm,
They turn it into O2. The Earth is the same way. We can go and take our negative energy, give it to the Earth, not throw it at the Earth, but give it to the Earth. Say, here, I can't take this. Go dig a hole and yell in it, scream
yeah.
it. Earth
I,
absorb it and turn it into life. What does the Earth do with death?
mm.
It takes death and it turns it back into life. You
I
know?
also, I like to think of, somebody's like, love is the secret, right?
Yeah.
Um, if you watch fighting, uh, you know what happens if you're angry.
Hmm.
You get your ass whooped.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
Like UFC, like professional fighting.
if you're happy, like love,
Yeah.
you're hard to stop. But also that I mentioned it earlier, the woman Kate from the Fern Cedar channel, she passed on a message that she said they passed to her, which is when you're in that can't stop laughing feeling, we wish you would be like that all the time.
Maybe that's why they like stoners so much. I don't know.
I'm yeah.
But I'm CBD man myself, so to be clear, I've kind of cleaned up myself. But
I could care less.
yeah, but I enjoy the CBD, and I enjoy it when I'm out talking to them. It helps me to feel relaxed and peaceful, and I think they appreciate that. But I'm not violent or angry anyway, so even if I am, sometimes I feel a little more anxious when I'm out there. Or maybe I don't have as much energy, so I'm trying to keep my energy up. So it almost feels like I'm tired, but I've been drinking coffee, or something like that. And they can sense all those things, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't drink coffee. I take caffeine, straight up caffeine pills, um, if I have to. But I usually just use those to work out. I don't have to. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to go out, you came up here one day, or for a few nights or whatever, came up, we went out, we'd go out on the road, man. I could introduce you to numerous. We could do it all night if we wanted.
Yeah, it sounds like that would be pretty mind blowing.
Yeah, and it would open your eyes up and help you realize they really are everywhere. And you can figure that on your own. I don't want to insist that anyone has to have me to do anything.
Right.
I recommend my book as a guide. It'd just be like a spirit guide in your head, and you get to choose your spirit guide. So if you don't like a spirit guide, you can tell one to kick rocks and take another one.
Mhm.
So whatever makes you happy, but at the same time, the main thing is to remember that we need to give care to this earth that we share. That's not some hippie hug a tree message. That's the reality of conservation, of life, of survival.
Yeah.
And also, we need to honor and respect the fact that we share this earth with them now. Even if we didn't share it as much before, we do now. And there's also a lot of other cryptid species out there, and not just one or two, not just dogmen. There are
I've
little
heard.
people. I've had encounters with the little people.
Wow.
The humans will not encounter them as much, and as a white man, I'm very fortunate to have encountered them at all. But one ran across my floor in my house. It sounded like a toddler running across my floor. My ex-girlfriend heard it, and it was at 4:15 in the morning. We both hopped up, and I hopped up out of bed and started looking around. There was nothing there. I mean, immediately I got up. There was nothing there. It jumped in a box of grocery bags that I had next to my refrigerator on the floor. So it ran all the way across the kitchen floor. It's about 15 feet or so, and then you hear it jumps in that plastic, all the plastic bags. It
Wow.
disappeared in those bags somehow.
Hmm.
So take that and use that with the Sabe. Same ability. How did it do that? Where did it go?
Yeah.
It jumped in a box. There was no portal there that I know of, but yet I've had other friends tell me there's a portal that comes through your house through the kitchen this way. It's a pathway.
Wow.
It goes right through here, through your bedroom. And
Hmm.
that's where most of the spirit activity is right along that little pathway.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it sounded like a toddler running across the floor, and I didn't know it at the time. It wasn't until years later that a friend of mine said it sounds like you had a little person running across your floor.
Wow.
And me and Mike's girlfriend had been drinking and arguing that night. I don't drink anymore at all. I wasn't violent or anything like that, but I think that's what kind of led to that.
Questioning your judgment at the time, and
Well, we went to bed, and I think it was just like I want to get away from these two people. And it got away, it got out there. So, but
wow.
and I know what happened. She heard it, and to this day, she's always somebody that says, "You're so full of shit. You're so full of shit." But when she heard that, to this day she'll get on camera and tell you, yeah, that actually happened. That actually happened. That was real.
Hmm.
You know? But she's had
Wow.
a few other. She's the kind of person that I took out to go talk to Sasquatches, and she just kept saying, "That's just animals in the woods. That's just animals in the woods." I'm like, you think deer and bear are going to come up here and sit and talk to us? And but they
Yeah.
were being kind because she's a woman, and they were being polite. They weren't trying to be too loud. They didn't want to scare her.
So amazing.
It's funny how you can take different people out and they have different experiences. But I recorded the whole thing, and if you were
Hmm.
to go and listen to the thing, you'd be like, "Oh my God, she doesn't even realize that that's them." You would hear clearly them talking and respond, and you could tell they're being gentle because they don't want
Yep.
to scare a woman. You know?
I could tell that with me. So much of you think about what didn't happen.
Yeah, oh yeah. I always tell humans, I say, the greatest evidence that they're loving and beautiful people is that I come home every night unscathed. That's the best evidence ever. I
Your
don't have
your
to.
uh, your car wasn't cut in half by a tree.
No,
Um, I mean, you know what they could do.
yeah, I know. I'm
You
very
know.
aware. I'm very aware.
Of
I know.
course, you know.
I watch what grizzlies can do to people. If I'm aware of it. Watch The Revenant. Yeah,
Just
watch
imagine.
watch
I
what
think of
chimpanzees have done to captive chimpanzees have done to humans when
you
they got.
think of a little, what is it, a little 400-pound silverback, maybe 600 pounds, can lift like 5 times their weight,
Yeah, yeah, 5 to 10
3,000 pounds. Can you imagine I mean,
full-grown sabe. They have
2,500 pound,
they
12
have
foot
they
tall?
have supernatural powers, man. It's beyond.
Yeah.
I've seen 4 foot. I mean, they trembled a 4 foot thick tree. They made it tremble, and I couldn't even see them. And then they pushed other ones down that I've seen the aftermath, and I'm like, it looked like a small tornado hit on top of a mountain. and it's like, wow. But it has their signs everywhere: X's,
Yeah.
arches. The trees, saplings bent over, weighted down on the top. See a lot of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
All kind of stuff. But also, I think it's possible they build those tree structures to attract mates, like bowerbirds, which are in the corvid family.
Hmm.
Corvids being crows and ravens and so on. And bowerbirds, you look them up, they build elaborate structures to attract mates. Like they build a
Wow.
little house and everything. It's amazing. And then you got the
I've,
birds of paradise do the big dance, and show off, try to attract mates. So I
wow.
think they build structures to attract mates. Some of the structures we see that are smaller are the children learning how to build them. And then some of them are to
Hmm.
impress. I was told by one researcher that they might have built the structures around my home to impress me because they like me and they want to let me know that they're intelligent. When they build these structures, that shows me that they're intelligent and they want to communicate with me.
Well,
So they're all positive.
what's that?
So I'm a musician and I was singing in this house for years. I wrote 500 songs in this house. So
Wow.
maybe they heard me singing at some point, so they want to show me what they can do.
I hope you
Yeah.
upload that song sometime for them.
Yeah, I'll get it recorded. I need to do it. I'm going to do it just straight out acoustic, nothing, no special equipment.
You gotta record it out there, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, I need to. You'll probably hear him go whoop right after.
But talking about the structures, a pattern that I noticed is there will be more from a public view than when I go in, like right from a parking lot. They'll be right there, and then
Yeah,
I'll be like excited, like, oh my God, what am I gonna find when I go into the woods? And then it's all right in the public view.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, wow, like sometimes I think they want us to see it.
Yeah, they want us to know that's their territory, you know. And sometimes they're saying that's our territory, keep out, and sometimes they're saying it's our territory, but just
Just
be aware.
or we're here.
Yeah, we're here and be aware.
Yeah,
And I think there's certain minds that see those things and look at them and recognize it as a sign. And there's certain minds that see those things and blow them off. And that's a good way
it's
to test
it's
humans.
it's Boy Scouts.
We're being judged constantly, brother. We are. We are constantly being judged by it. But I like it. I don't have a problem with it, because I don't have anything to hide from.
You can't.
I mean, well, I'm sure there's things that, like there's maybe things that people don't want them to know, but it's not anything that would hurt them.
I feel like I
It's
can't
like I
hide
wouldn't want
anything.
other people to know about whatever, if they
I
did.
feel I feel like I can't hide anything from them.
Yeah, and even if they know, I don't really give a shit. I just. But I think they know their boundaries. Like there's certain points where you don't want everything to be their business, and they won't always chase you into that boundary.
That makes sense.
Space.
That makes sense.
They mentally know, like, I don't need to know these things. It doesn't affect me. You know,
That makes sense.
that's all I can imagine. But a lot of this, we're talking is a lot of it's assumptions, a lot of it's
Yep.
possibilities, and I just want to remind people, not a perfect science. Again, it's never going to be.
Hmm.
It's going to be conversations that people have for 5 hours on the computer, um, you know, for many a millennia to come, as long as we can have computers. But and it'll be campfire stories, like camp
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Neither of us is pretending we absolutely know a lot of this. I'm not.
no, I
A lot, lot
don't
of
know a lot.
conjecture, but I love the two minds together taking our best guesses and
Yeah,
just
I know what I'm experiencing.
yeah.
I know I'm experiencing love. I've friendship. I've seen them several times before. It's obvious that you spend this much time with gorillas and chimpanzees in the wild. That obviously they've accepted you to some degree. Otherwise, you'd be dead,
Hmm.
or severely injured or run off.
I
So
actually learned. I did one interview on a YouTube channel, and I brought somebody that just was from where I was, and something that he sort of shared was like sort of he part of me was seeing how they treated me to judge my character, and I was like, yeah, no one told me that, but they
Dude,
wanted
that
to
hurts
see.
me. That hurts me because I get mad at myself, and I tell them I get mad and yell at the air sometimes. I'm not an angry person that yells all the time. Just sometimes I get angry and I talk to myself a lot. I spend a lot of time alone. When I'm out talking to them, I talk to myself because I want to
Me
note
too.
things on recording. And I tell them, I say, I'm just talking to myself. Don't worry about me.
Yep.
And So, and I know they hear these things, like when I get angry and I'm, I told you about my recent anger, I think, and my dealing with certain spiritual entities and being upset with them, and then they hear all that going on, and I didn't, I was so angry that night. I didn't go back and talk to Bobo that night. I didn't want to bring him down.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of let him know that my heart and my head wasn't in a peaceful place. It didn't have anything to do with him. I said, I love you, brother. I'm going to stay out front tonight. And then I went back there the next night and I explained everything to him. So it's not I just want to make sure it's not your fault. And they don't really feel that way. They don't feel quite as guilty as humans do, I don't think.
I love that you explain that, though.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, just like you'd explain it to a friend, and certainly if you're in a relationship with someone, I've learned that if you're in a bad mood, the best thing to do is to let that person know you're in a bad mood and that it's not their fault. And you're not going to take anything out on them, just not take any of, how I might be feeling today. And I'll tell my friend that, don't take how I feel today personally. I'll get out of my mood in time.
It's a lot of self-awareness to be able to do that.
But yeah, and I think it's required when you're talking to South Bay people. I think they teach it to us. I think they help us become more self-aware.
I wondered, to be honest with you, I wondered what kind of changes could have happened to me from just their presence, just sort of in the time since. I wonder.
Yeah, yeah. There's changes that we may not even realize that come through.
Or something points it out to you. You're like, when did I start doing that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've noticed I'm getting a little softer. It doesn't always express towards other humans, especially when I'm driving. But but I noticed that overall I'm getting softer and kinder.
More aware.
A lot of that comes with age too.
Yeah.
I'm at that age. Your testosterone at 45, testosterone dying down, and but it's there, and it's a good place to be to even know that's there. That when I feel this great anger sometimes, or fear, or hurt, or whatever you really want to call what it really is.
Yeah.
But that love and peace is also there too. It's within me. I just gotta find. It's like when you were saying you got to raise your vibration. I want to say no. That raised vibration is already within you. You need to be your authentic self first. Then the raised vibration comes up on its own.
Yeah.
Kundalini rises on its own. You know what I mean?
Get out of the way.
Yeah, of yourself. That sounds like. I'm sorry. I'm just getting that's a theme for you. Get out of the way of yourself.
Yeah, that's
that's
whole.
A lot of that's vague. It's for all of us. But
yeah, that's basically the whole teaching of everyone. I think. Die before you die, Jesus, Buddha.
Die before you live.
Yeah, of course, it's the death of the ego self.
But the truth is, you don't have. You need the ego in this world.
Well, your ego is your ego is your worst enemy and your greatest asset at the same time.
Your ego reminds you to brush your teeth every night and to wash your face. And
your ego is what thought about getting rid of the ego, but that's deep.
Exactly. Everything, because otherwise you'd just be a spirit in a body that wouldn't know when to eat or sleep. Yeah. It would only eat when it was hungry. It would it wouldn't remember where home is, wouldn't remember your name. It'd lose all these things, because just like that when we die, we get everything, then we'll actually remember if we go back. Mm-hmm. But it wouldn't, it needs the ego in this world once it's in the body, because it would disconnect from all that memory.
Yep.
And so, we have to have an ego. Egos are not an evil thing. We just need to keep them from getting overinflated. They don't serve any more purpose than being a tool.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
A tool of memory and a tool of repetition.
Yeah.
They're computer programs.
Pretty much.
Is basically what they are.
I feel like you realize you're the programmer, and so you're the one. It feels like it's out there. I feel like that person made me upset, or whatever. Or I feel like that situation out there stressed me out, and then you start to realize,
It's
and
me.
then you realize it's all here. And I get the idea. I'm not there, but I get the concept of where's the feeling? Is it in that job that pissed you off? No, it's right here. But
Well, sometimes it's the job too, because like if you're a free spirit and you put yourself in a captive place, you're never going to be happy. I can't work for other people for the most part. I have to work for myself, and I have to be happy doing what I'm doing. So I
hmm
work for myself as a gardener, professional gardener, and I'm educated horticulturist. And I'm I've told you I'm semi-retired right now. That means I work when I really need money. Otherwise, I don't really work.
nice.
My work is going out with the Sabe people every night. I'm 45. I don't know explanations anyway. I don't have any children. My bills are paid. I take care of myself.
Mm.
Nobody has to take care of me. I feel like people need to be happy what they're doing. If you're not happy with what you're doing,
Yeah,
you're just
yeah,
wasting your life away one more day every day. So it becomes a year, and then a year becomes 2 years and 3 years. You really need to find something you're at least moderately happy doing, or something
yeah.
that gives you time to do other things that allow you to be happy.
hmm
Happiness is more important than a lot of other things, and we don't realize that. It's far more important than money. And money is not going to buy you happiness. Yes, money definitely helps as far as getting the bills paid and making sure we got a roof over our heads and we're going to be
Yeah,
warm tonight and got food. But when you go out in the forest and you're all alone and you have everything you need, what's left.
yeah.
You have to learn to appreciate and love what you have.
I think of money like water. Like we need it, but we don't think water is going to make us happy.
No,
We or like sleep. We don't think it's going to make us happy, but we need it.
no. If you've ever
Like
been really
food,
thirsty, water will make you very happy. Food, same thing.
just like being broke.
Yeah,
Money can if you live on the streets and you get $10,000, that can feel good for a little while too.
yeah, and it can be gone really quick too if you're not careful. You
Or
know.
if you're a relative gets in a serious jam and you need $100,000 for a hospital, it can feel
Yeah.
nice.
It's funny when you say like 10,000 or $100,000, it doesn't even seem like that much money anymore.
It's not.
Some people may say that in their mind. I'm not rich. Don't get me wrong. I have a small savings. That's right around that number we talked you mentioned, but that's it. And that's my life insurance. That's my next car. That's whatever I need. That's it. That's all I got. That's it. That's nothing. That could be gone in a heartbeat. That's why it's
Yep.
saved because
Yep.
I know how fast it can go.
hmm
And so everything else I try to earn outside of that. But anyways, but yeah, we live in a world where we're actually slave to a world of money. Um, and as wonderful as money seems in a lot of ways, we're heading for a new life. We're heading when the great changes come. We'll have to walk another path. We may still use money. Right now, they're trying to control crypto, and then eventually they're fixing to take over the banks. I know you've probably been seeing this all over the place. That they've been failing banks in order to take over crypto.
Mm.
But I'm afraid if I talk about too much, I might get something else banned. So I don't want to go too far into all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't do crypto or anything like that. But it just shows that the more I always said, if our country will support what's going on with Israel and Palestine and the oppression of Palestine, like it has been, and it's much greater and much worse than people think it is and make it out to be. And a lot of people think it's all Palestine, and that's not. You really need to look at the history and understand things that happened there. And I'm not calling anyone evil or anything, one side bad or good. But if they would support the things, if our country would give money to that country and support the oppression that those people are going through, I knew that it was just a matter of time before it come back home. If they would invade other countries for resources and lie to us, I knew it's just a matter of time before all this comes back home.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time before they seek more control
Yep.
because they don't have that happiness. They don't have that love. And I'm willing to bet that like one of the Arizona Four said that maybe the humans in control are the true Nephilim, and that's the ultimate deflection. Sabe people have no greed for our money. They want land, they want territory, but it's just to live. They don't need more than what they need to live.
Yep.
If they're taking from you, then you might have taken from them the first time
Hmm.
before they ever took from you, and you may not have even known it. I could be wrong. or they could see as you as someone is taken from them on the land where someone else is taken from them. So that would have to be worked out.
Yeah.
But otherwise, they don't take from me at all. I give to them, and I do spend a good bit of money giving them treats, but it's still the most treats I give to one family is every 5 nights.
Mm.
They get a lot of treats. It's the ones that live around me. But other than that, the rest of them just get what I can afford, which is maybe one family may get 10 granola bars and maybe a bag of apples if we're lucky. And I can't do it everywhere. There's places where you can't feed wildlife. It's against the law.
Yeah.
And it's against the law to feed wildlife anyway. Let me be clear about that. And I'm not. I said an intention. I know I'm not feeding just general wildlife.
Yeah, you're feeding humans.
What's that?
You're feeding humans, people.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm careful about how it's all done. And I'll watch after I leave them food. Back the next day, there's not a trace for wildlife food. All the food will be gone, and there won't even be a crumb.
Yep.
Peanut butter jars will look completely clean. And there's
Wow.
no scratch marks on them. I told you about the one where I found the peanut butter jar and there was 2 sticks laid over it in an X on the ground.
Amazing.
And I'm like, oh, thank you. And they were just saying, yeah, we got it. Thank you, buddy.
Wow.
So anyways, are there any more questions or you think it'd be about a good time to wrap it up or what?
Definitely good because I also am coming up on my limit of StreamYard.
Wow.
I have a 5-hour limit, so.
Okay, yeah, we're there. And I was going to tell you, you may want to make this a 2 or 3 part.
I was thinking that.
4-part thing and just kind of spread it out with your
Yeah.
other videos. It wouldn't hurt.
Yeah. I was definitely thinking that.
Yeah, so that's just a thought right there. And just let me know when you do it, and then I'll share it on my page.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, it's been awesome, man.
I appreciate you, Martin. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate you letting people out there tell their story. And even if you got people that are traumatized, let them come on and tell their story, and then share your perspective and share their perspectives.
Yeah, if anyone comes to me and says they'd like to share, I'm in no place to say no. So
Yeah, but
I definitely like to hear friendly and this and that, but I if someone says I'd like to share through you, I'm not going to say no. So.
Yeah.
But I was really looking forward to what I heard from you quickly and just hearing more, and have enjoyed it, learned a lot. So.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate talking to you, man. It's always validating and enlightening as well for me to contact someone else, even if I feel like I'm the one doing all the talking. We talked before all this, so yeah, people, we've been talking for about 7 hours now.
Yeah.
So it's really about 6 hours now. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I really appreciate you. I appreciate your show. I like the name of your show, Camping with Sasquatch. And,
I know it sounds, but it's real.
I do this with my hands to them a lot now. Do you find yourself doing this around them and bowing sometimes?
Yeah, I did that. There was a time when there was something happening, and I was doing this to acknowledge I knew what was happening. So I was pointing. I was hearing sounds, and yeah.
Yeah, I do that now. Yeah, like I always say, it's an honor and a privilege when I'm leaving. It's an honor and a privilege, or when they start talking to me, it's an honor and a privilege to hear from you. Give a bow. Thank you, man. It's beautiful to hear your sound.
Every night I would say, "Bless you, thank you, I love you, I love," and I would pray for them and have my hands like this, and then go to bed. Every night I pray to them.
Too. Yeah. I always pray for their well-being, just like I would my own family and friends. I could do my own family and friends,
All the time. I hope that all your provisions are met. I hope you're happy, healthy,
strong, stay safe and protected from humans,
and that you have all that you need. And yeah.
Exact same thing, man. Well, that's awesome. Wow, you and I are like, we're right on the same wavelength. So they got us resonating in the same frequency.
And it's definitely sort of a confirmation. You get the same.
Well, as soon as I saw Mike Patterson on here, I was like, okay, this guy's got it together. What's he doing interviewing Mike Patterson? He's got hardly any views on here. Come on.
Yeah.
And
to be honest, my channel's kind of old. The only a tenth of my subscribers are from Sasquatch.
Okay.
So it's a pretty new. I turn it into this theme. So
I'm sorry we didn't talk about NASCAR, drag racing, or anything, guys. I
that's all
apologize.
I've done for
I
years,
mean, it's my
drag racing.
fault. My fault. All my fault. You
I got plenty of that.
know. Oh
I got
Lord,
that.
I
I
get
got that on
hazy
my.
right now.
It's on my other channel.
Yeah, gotcha. But you feel like we're good to wrap it up here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Perfect.
How about I sing you the Wendeyaho song that I share with them real quick?
We've
There's
got a.
enough time. It's
I
short.
think we have like 2 minutes, but I'd love it.
Okay, I got 4:54 on here.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any. It's a 5 hour total, but yeah, I mean, if it cuts off, but yeah, I'd love it.
Wendeyaho, 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 Wendeyaho. Windy, oh, 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 hey, yahoo, hey, yahoo, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's the Cherokee morning song they're saying, and that's kind of my version. I'm not Cherokee. I'm just sharing that, and that's a different, sung in a different key, kind of. But saying "I'm one with the Great Spirit" over and over and over is all it's saying.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying to them when I go out. I am one with the Great
Wow.
Spirit. You know, it's the first thing I'm saying. I'm announcing myself as just being one with the Great Spirit.
Goosebumps.
You know. But anyways, yeah, that's just something I wanted to share with y'all. But
Thank you.
thank you, and thanks for all the people listening and watching, and all the drag racers out there that are putting up with this. Man, I love all of you. So thank you all, and remember, Bigfoot doesn't believe in you either.
I love that.
I'm just kidding. But and if people say, "Oh, I don't believe in that," it's all right. He doesn't believe in you either.
It's all good.
Yeah. All right, man. You have a great one.
You too, brother. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
brother. Yeah, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Blessed be.
Great meeting you too.
You
Bless
too,
you.
man. Yeah, well, you're coming up here. I know. Eventually, we'll get you
I
up.
think I will be up there sometime.
Oh, all Floridians come to the mountains, and now that
Yeah.
you're a Florida man, you've got to come to the mountains now.
Florida, man. Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, man.
have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
All right, thank you.